where do we move from like skilled activities like chess and many other examples we could come to mind to like athleticism and calling this person an athlete? Thoughts?
I've always tried to draw this line, and it's not the most distinct line, but it was always, if you can drink a beer or two and get better at it, it's not a sport. So that, and like, I think shooting.
Wait a minute. I mean, let me put this back at you. I bet there are certain ski lines that you could arguably do. Again, talking about standing on top of a really spicy line, sometimes I want to be real careful with what I'm about to say here. But it is sometimes called liquid courage, and it's not always a misnomer.
Yeah, but I'm like talking to like, okay, are you going to do a free ride competition and drink a beer before it and get better at it? Yeah, exactly. Okay. I don't think it falls into it. I think it's more in those terms of like you're shooting pool with your buddies or you're throwing darts and stuff. Although those are very athletic things. That was always my definition of it. It was like, it's like I play darts and then you loosen up a little bit with a couple beers and suddenly get better at it. And that's what I was like, well, that's a game. And then if it's a sport, it's, a couple beers will diminish your performance. But obviously that if you really analyze that and you start to pick it apart, it falls apart really quickly. Yeah. It's just like a loose definition I've always had, because personally, like there's days when I play golf where it's like I'm lights out no matter what. And then, I don't know, sometimes you're not doing it too well, have a drink at the turn, and all of a sudden you're like loose and finally playing well. And golf is definitely a feat of athleticism. That is a sport where they are athletes. So, so it does fall apart pretty quickly, but that was always the one I always said. So shooting, to me, if you're trying to shoot at something, it's like, to me, why I would say it as a sport is like, you can kind of see it if you watch his whole routine of how he's like calming his body, probably slowing his heart rate, and all these kinds of things that are pretty, fascinating and pretty skilled to do. I just think like chess, they're not athletes per se because it's a mind game. It's not like, if you really wanted to draw a line, it's probably things that relate to your physical abilities are quite often more sports than they are mental. Obviously, sports are very much the mental aspects of it are incredibly key to it, but I think that's more of a delineating line, but I haven't really even thought about that. I always just went with the beer definition.
Okay, but let's imagine this. Let's imagine that there was a crocheting competition. And it was like, we get me versus you. And it's the first one of us to knit a cardigan sweater. Wins. I mean, there's physical dexterity there. There's the mental focus, a la, analogous to chess. If we were able to, control our emotions under the great stressful demands of crocheting, something I've never done in my life, but I've just, imagine, like, there is physical dexterity and skill involved in that. So would we say that if you and I started the, National Federation of Crocheting, the NFC, and then we got that entered, like, at what point are these crochet athletes? If we get it into the Olympics? Or by virtue of creating that competition, these are crochet athletes because it definitely involves a lot of physical dexterity. You like this example. I have made you think. Yeah, where are we at?
I have. So I would say if there was a competition that was speed crocheting, so knit a scarf as fast as possible.
Or a cardigan.
Yeah, but then, okay, where's this other side? If it's like related to more like how beautiful it is, how well it's designed, then it's like a little bit more in the artistic realm and less of an athletic realm. So I would say speed crocheting, yeah, those are athletes. But if I would say there's some sort of artistic element at the final end of it, not just did you complete it, then it's more in like some sort of artistic competition, which I don't know. So artistic competitions.
Did we just establish that you could take virtually any activity, and if you impose a speed element to it, it is a sport, and these are athletes?
Well, think about like hot dog eating. Like
it's exactly what I was thinking of. That's
like,
exactly what it.
You gullet 60 hot dogs in 10 minutes, and that's an athletic feat. But it's like, I don't know, making the actual hot dog in the most beautiful presented way. Like, yeah, no, that's like a cooking competition. And it's less athletic. So I don't know.